Well, hello, and welcome back. Sorry for the little bit of the wait there. I was just copying over the URL over to Twitter and pasting so that people who want to watch can watch. So let me just finish up doing that. I should have set a little bit longer timer here. Anyway, so last night, I was working on this blog system. I feel like I made excellent progress. This is almost the thing that I actually want to be using. In fact, I do want to be using it. This really suits my needs in terms of we've got some autosave implemented. It's all client side. And I've got copy and paste, so I could go to my actual blog. I could write my stuff here. I've got it conveniently auto-saving that I could copy and paste it over into my blog. And when I make that commit on GitHub, the build process will kick off and the blog will go live. So there's a couple features that are missing. Well, a bug is the dates aren't properly formatted. Also, I have 3 different blog systems across a couple of different websites. So one of them is called Desi, one of them is called Eon, and Eon is based on Hugo, and then another one is BashBlog. And so I want to be able to work with all 3 of these systems, and so I'm going to get that fixed as well. And there's just a couple other little things that we're going to do. But I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I've got 2 things I need to pull up real quick. I was making some notes on my phone as I was thinking about this. And then I also have on GitHub, I think I called this Bliss. Yeah, in the issues, I added some stuff yesterday. So we're just about ready to close out what I would consider milestone 1 once we can format dates. And if you've got any questions or comments, I am live on the YouTubes and the Twitches. I have got the comments open. I won't necessarily hear the ding, but I will try to keep an eye on it and come back around to it. Okay. So with that said, let me see if I can make this a touch bigger. Let's see how big I can make it before it goes into mini mode. Okay. 140%, and then it goes into mini mode. I actually think that's a little too much. And then same here. We could probably go 140%. That's a little too much. Still a little too much. Alrighty. So what I am going to do is just work on that date problem first. So let me get into my projects. I think I put this under root. I kind of, my own personal projects and my root projects and my Beyond Code projects are all they all kind of blend together. Oh, and another important thing before we get started. Pop a little Mountain Dew. That's a little liquid medication for us ADHD folk. And actually, I don't. Oh, my water's right here. Let's get the water out. Because caffeine doesn't work if you don't drink enough water to make it work. 2 parts water to 1 part soda. It's the perfect recipe, although not at the same time. Ugh. Gotta finish drinking the soda first, then gulp down the water. Okay. So, this is going to be a little bit tricksy because I really need the created date. What I want the created date to be, as I'm storing it in the model, so to speak, is a formatted date, an ISO formatted date that with UTC offset. So if we go here to XTZJS, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if we put in a local time, which also this would work if we put a T there. I want to just make sure of that real quick. T1, yeah. Oh no, that wasn't supposed to happen that way. That was, whatever, I'll figure it out. I guess I've got a bug in this I need to go fix so that it's not refreshing the page. Anyway, what we want is a string with an offset like this. So we want to be able to put in a time. I think in this case we want to be able to put in Relative time zone. Let's see. Okay, if this is 19, so this is 19. So we want to be able to put in a relative time and then give it the current time. We want to be able to get back this string here. That's what I want. I want that string. That's what I want to store, because that represents the time relative to UTC, but also local at the same time, because it's the offset time. And you do not get this with the default JavaScript object. So I want to do that, and let's see, let's go back in there, open up my side view here. This is nerd tree, by the way. Everybody knows what this is, so I don't really talk about that much, but on webinstall.dev, it's not part of the Vim Essentials package, but there is a nerd tree, not package, but installer as well. And just to make this look pretty, there we go, so that it fits with the rest of it. Here we go. So good. I do have XTZ coming into the page, and that's what I needed to know. Do I have XTZ coming into the page? I do have XTZ coming into the page. So XTZ will be available var XTZ equals window.xtz. This is purely for documentation purposes. There we go. So where I am setting created, I actually want to be calling a format function that's specific to the blog in question. So I'm going to have to figure out that. I'm just going to start with the very first one, which is Desi. And that's the one I've already kind of got going. I think I do want to, here's another to do. So I think I want post.uuid.meta, and let's actually call it like this. There we go. Post.uuid.data. I think that is how I want to do this. And so meta would be the title, created, updated, and then this would be contents. I think that's what I want to move this to so that it's less noisy. But that's a refactor step I don't need to do right now. I need to fix a bug right now. So that's what we're going to focus on. And then, of course, let's go ahead and make sure that these are made available. That's coming in through a jQuery, which is, it's kind of a parody library because it's 6 lines that I normally just type by muscle memory, but I now have actually created a library for it. I think I included it in here. Let me go up to the top-ish. Yeah, a jQuery. It's 6 lines long. And it's, by the way, it's totally not worth it to use CDNs 90% of the time. What you want to do instead is just download the files that you need and include them locally. Because when you use the CDN, your caching is going to be worse, contrary to popular belief, because CDN caches don't work the way in practice that they're talked about in conference talks in theory. And you also have to have more DNS lookups and more round trips, and so it ends up being far less efficient to use CDNs for most of the time for most of what we're doing for smaller projects. And if you've got a big enterprisey project, you're using CDNs in a completely different way that is nothing like what they're advertised as. Anyway, what I need to do is I need to find that created at. Okay, to local time. This is giving me, really, I want to say not to local time, but to this is what I need to do here. This is not to local date time. Rather, this is to input date time local. That's a little bit more specific. I'm going to just replace that in every place where it exists. And wait, why does that say new date like that with a lowercase d? Something's going wrong here. Hold on. There's no way that was working. That should be capital D. What the heck? Okay. Let me just stash here for a second. All right, just a second here. Okay, we're back, and hopefully this pulls. For some reason, it's spinning up my backup drive to do a git pull. Heaven knows why it's doing that. All right, so yeah, let's see, git log. I just want to find out real quick, git blame new date lowercase. Huh? That can't possibly work. How did that, when did that slip in there? That slip in there in the O5B. What was O5B? O5B. That's way, way, way long ago. I don't know how that was working. Okay, well, whatever. Oops, git stash pop. Yeah, I have no idea how that could have been working because that should have been throwing an error. Oh, if not items.length. That's why. Because that error probably wasn't getting that code path. I don't know how that happened that was made lowercase. Whatever, doesn't matter. We're moving on. We are looking for post.created. Post.created. Where is this invented? It is invented. Okay, it's restored here. Post.created. We get it from the input there. Okay, so this is what I need to figure out then. I think we can just call xtz dot let's see. Let me go back. There was a little cheat sheet bit here to get the time zone. So I think what we need to do, var time zone equals and let's just move this one up. No, let's leave it where it is. So we want 2 UTC. Now this happens to be a format that XTZ understands. So that, but we want to actually translate post.created into the correct offset. So for example, -600. That's our goal. I think. So that should work. Shouldn't change the time. Okay, so post.timezone equals post.timezone or time zone. Yeah. So we need to get the time zone in here. And then we need to follow wherever created is, and we need to do a little bit of an update. So yeah, that's fine. And then where's updated at? Post.updated. So I think when it's created is when post.updated is made. So, but we're just going to put this here as a failsafe. And technically we could have an updated time zone and a created time zone, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'll let people figure that out for themselves for now, and people being me. So don't have to worry about it too much. Oh, hey, Nick. So what do I do for work? I work a lot in Node, and I also work in Go. I work at a company that does system of record for growth stage companies. So basically, if you have a small, medium-ish company that is getting investors or going through different transitioning in the phase of the business, we manage the records for that, be they financial, legal, hiring, etc. Basically, we help companies prepare for due diligence events of various sorts. But I have worked a lot in the IoT space, and let's see, I've worked full-time Go, I've worked full-time Node, and I've worked full-time IoT as well. But a lot of the stuff historically, I've done more IoT type things than anything else. And yeah, feel free to hit me up with questions. I will go at them as I see them, and sometimes I'll pause and finish up whatever I'm working on so I don't lose track of things. Okay, so at this point, to input date time local. All right, that's a to-do. I'm going to make a physical note here, so because I don't actually want to change where I'm at in my kind of scroll here. So there, I'm going to have to go, obviously, from ISO plus offset. Basically, I should just strip off the offset. That's all that I should have to do there. That should be sufficient. Okay, that's what I need. Strip offset. Okay, next bit. What am I doing here? I am replacing in that list. This is actually fine by me to keep that there. I also would consider, let's go ahead and just throw in the to input date time local. I'll just put that in there for now. I think that's fine. Oh, and this little bug should have been updated. Let's see. And then if there's no items, we want untitled to be there. That's fine. And then here, okay, this is where this needs a to-do. Oh, and that should also be updated, of course. Format as per blog. Now, in this particular case, I need to get this into AM PM. Let me think on that. I'm going to have to think on that because I need to get this into an AM PM format. And I'm thinking of whether I want to put it into a date object and then take it back to the original time zone. And I do want to put time zone in this, even if the blog system, which this blog system doesn't keep time zone. I just want to keep that for the sake of documentation, because I think it is kind of nice to know what time zone something came in, even though it'll be ignored. Yeah, let's see. So, yeah, I'm just going to have to put a to-do on that. Let's see, is there anywhere else where this is used? Get it. Or, okay, so I don't want this one. This is not what I want. This is where I want xtz.toUtc. And then I don't know that I want new date. I'm trying to think, do I want new date here? So again, this should be post.timezone equals. I'm going to go back up to where time zone is here. And undo and redo. Oh, okay. So that actually takes me back up one. That's fine. So because this is restore, wait, hold on, local storage. Yeah, so I guess here we go. You are welcome. Time zone. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and bite the bullet. No, I'm not. I'm not going to bite the bullet yet. Oh, gosh. Let's see if we can. So we're going to get the time zone either from local storage or creating it. And we're either going to grab the time or we're going to convert it. The date is going to be considered to be the ISO time. Oh, so actually I'm going to want 2 time zone on this one, I think. All right, relative time zone to absolute UTC. Yes. So here we're going to take the relative time of the date and put it into time zone. And I will double check on that real quick. That should be post.timezone. All right. And that looks right, that looks right, that looks right. Okay, let's check this out in the browser real quick. So what I want is first, let's get the time zone. So this is going to give me America Denver, I think. Yep. And then I want to say XTZ to time zone, give it the current time, and then adjust it to the current time zone. Whoops. And then let's say to ISO string. That's the thing that I forgot to do there. So is this giving me, is it 1948? It is 1948 right now. So that is correct, but I need to call to ISO string because we need this to be a serializable format. So likewise, I need to go find the other place that I just used XTZ. And I need to call .to ISO string here as well. Alrighty. And the difference between these two methods, which gets confusing, is that on the one hand, you're saying, given a string that represents a local time, it's important this is a string that represents the local time, because if it is a date object, the only way that it can get a formatted string from it is calling to ISO string, which means that it will treat the UTC time as local time. So this won't do what you want with a date object. It will do what you want with a string. So it'll take a string, interpret the string as local time in this time zone, and then give you back the UTC ISO plus offset string. The other one, if you give it a UTC time, it will adjust it to the time zone and then give you back that time. And the nuance here is that since a date object in JavaScript can only represent UTC time as a string, there is no toIsoString with offset method, unless I'm wrong and it's been added, but I don't think that that is true. d.toIso, yeah, to UTC string. Let's see, what is that? Yeah, that's wrong. To GMT string, ISO string, date string, to JSON. Interesting. Oh, that's going to give you the ISO string. Yeah, it's really weird, but none of the toString methods actually give you a usable string except for toIsoString, and so that's why sometimes the behavior is unexpected, because you think if I pass in a date object, it's going to use the date that the date object describes, except that the library can't know what time zone that is in because there is no way to get a string representation of it other than to do it by hand, but there's other issues. So anyway, now I think what I need to do is go update toInput datetime local, because I think I've got all of these created places updated. Let me just double check real quick. I'm just cruising through here to make sure. Yeah, I think I've hit everything now. So I need to go to toInput datetime local. All right. toInput datetime local. So it's going to get a string that is an ISO string that's going to get converted to a local date. So kind of what we want to do actually is if D I think what we want to do is just return d.replace, and then we want to take the plus or minus of the end, or z, and I guess this might be better expressed as just d4, and we want to replace that with nothing. I think that's what we want to do, because otherwise what's going to happen is that this is actually going to shift times. So if they go edit an old post in a different time zone, it's going to shift. And we don't actually want that to happen. So I might have to think about this a little bit more. For the time being, I think I'm just going to leave it as is, because that behavior is not, it's not horrendous behavior. It's just not necessarily the behavior that we expect. There we go. And then I'm just going to put a to-do adjust for original time zone. I'm going to document this a little bit better. It's quite reasonable that a person may create the post in an Eastern state, on New York time and later edit the same post in a Western state on Mountain time, what time? How do we prevent the time from being shifted accidentally? And then likewise, really, I mean, this is kind of in the noise. I mean, this applies to me. I travel east and then I come back west. I mean, this is my scenario. But it's kind of in the noise in terms of it's not that important. But then we've got ditto for updated at. Because the time that something is updated is not necessarily... I might create it in one time zone and then update it in another time zone. And should it not say that it was updated in that time zone? I think that it should. Anyway, let's just leave that as a comment for now. I think that it's good enough for now. What I need to focus on is the fact that the time is actually being formatted incorrectly. So with that, let me go ahead and open up the local version of this. Of course, it's going to open in the completely wrong window all the way over here. And all right, nothing's broken so far. But I'm going to go ahead and delete these. Yeah, let's go ahead and delete that one. Yeah, let's go ahead and delete this one. Interesting. So the undelete function isn't working the way that I was expecting it to. That's okay, I guess. Let me go ahead and go into the application tab. And there's a lot of stuff in here that didn't get deleted, which I guess is okay. I don't know how undefined.title got in there. Let's go ahead and we're just going to delete everything. And we'll go back later and we'll do some cleanup and whatnot. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and refresh. All right, I've got a fresh blog now. Do I have anything in storage? No? Let's go ahead and say, hello world. Welcome. Bless me. Okay, cool. So these both look right in terms of created and updated. And then we're showing them here. You know, I want to get rid of that T though when I'm showing it here. I don't want that extra T to be there. So let's go back in here. And that would be, I think, in the list is where this was created. And I'm just going to call replace T with nothing. And I'm going to do -G for good measure because I've rarely regretted putting a G, but I've oft regretted forgetting it. So I try to be in the habit of putting it unless I know that I don't need it, rather than only putting it when I know that I do. Okay. So this is kind of the same thing. But really, this deserves its own function, not to be hijacked like this. But this is the only place it's being used like that right now, so meh. Oh, whoops. I do want to replace it with a space, not with nothing. You know what would actually kind of be cool too? I know this is a little bit dorky, but I kind of like putting in the emojis. Let's see, what have we got here that represents a clock really well? Clock. I thought there was a different one. I think it's this. That's a stopwatch. That's a timer. Let's just select a happy hour. Where's happy hour? Where are you? Do we not have? We don't have happy hour? Seriously? Like, come on, guys. We don't. Oh, well, these are set. What? These are set to happy hour, but there's no happy hour for the. Oh. So be it. So be it. Let's just put the watch. Oops. Yeah, I need to tell it to eject that backup drive because it's trying to do a backup and it makes the system act funky. So let's say, how about eject the backup drive? Are you trying to do a backup right now? It did a backup today already. Yeah, so go ahead and eject the backup drive. Thank you very much. Good. Now that won't bother us anymore. I feel like that's such a stupid bug in macOS for the backup drive to cause sync failures throughout the whole daggone operating system. Okay, I don't want to do that. Okay, this is stupid. I'm getting lost in the weeds here. I'm just gonna pick a better choice. The alarm clock is super clear. It's a good choice. We're gonna go with the alarm clock. Let's pick it. Okay, and I'm gonna call that good. And I also would like to put in the calendar date as well. So I'm going to just find that one real quick. Calendar. There we go. Cool. Assuming that this is correct. Okay, that looks right. All right, so let me just refresh here. Cool. I overdid it a little bit. Whatever. Maybe I'll change it later. Okay, that was dumb. Moving along. I need my. Let's see. My dates to get formatted correctly in the YAML. So let's go to where the YAML is. And really what I need is I need to know which template a post belongs to. And then I just need to update that template. Let's see, where all am I using this front matter? Is it just in these two places? Yeah, it's just in these two places. So really what I need to do is say that my template is equal to title here. My time zone is equal to time zone. Can I do that? Do I want to do it like that? I mean, it's a pretty decent way to do it. Let's just try this out and see how it goes. Because this is going to make it really easy to add other blog systems. So it's going to make it easier for me to add my 3 blog systems that I use. And then it's going to make it easy for other people to add theirs as well. And then what I actually want to do here is I want to say, I had this thought. So if it has quotes around it, then we'll JSON.stringify it first. I think that's a fair thing to do. And it should work. It should work for YAML. It should work if there's some other sort of format, although I don't particularly want to support other formats per se. Hello, or welcome back. I'm not sure whether you had come and left or if you're just here. I do answer questions. If you ask questions, I've got both the YouTube and the Twitch chat open, and I look over occasionally to see. Okay, we do want to put that in quotes. All right, permalink. And then let's say slug. And slug should not need quotes in pretty much any system. All right, so let's say it's like that, and then we're just going to call a bunch of replace. So we're going to call this is going to be a little inefficient and redundant, but it's okay. So this will be json.stringify post.title. I'm just going to go through each of these and make a little template replacement for them. One in which, let's see, is that okay? I think I have to escape these actually, which is kind of obnoxious. I'll have to double check on that. I'll try it right now because I don't want to escape those if I don't have to. So let's say title dot replace, and then we'll say, oh, you know what? If I don't use a regex, how about I don't use a regex? How about that? Because I don't need a regex for this. Oh, well, I do because I want to replace all instances of, and we don't get to replace all without regex. Okay, so I do want a regex. Okay, so let's say I just want to replace with hey. Okay, that does work because I don't have any modifier preceding it. So if I had a modifier preceding it like that, then it wouldn't work. Even if, wait, what if I had the number 8 here? Oh, it still does work. Interesting. Interesting. I wonder, that seems kind of like the semicolon thing where, you know, it should be required and it is required, but then when there's an error, it just backs out and tries again a different way. I wonder if it's doing that type of parsing. Either way, I'm glad that I don't have to put in a bunch of escapes because escapes suck. We know this because science. Okay, so then title, we can do the same thing here, but we're going to call this one, we're going to swap out title with time zone. All right. And then we're going to do the same thing with, whoops, I should have done, let me do this. We're going to replace title with created, but we still have a problem there because we need to make sure that that's in the right date format for this thing. So here we're going to replace title with updated, and then we're going to do UUID. And then we're going to do I don't know how to do, let's see, do I want to do categories? Sure. But we don't have categories yet, so no, I don't. Slug, I definitely want to do slug. Okay. And, you know, I could have done this a little bit nicer maybe too. Like I could have put this in a loop and then just created the regex dynamically, you know, maybe to do loop to make it look nicer. So that would be, you know, we do some, whoops. We do something like title and time zone and created and updated and so on. Okay. But I'm just going to leave this unrolled for now, but I could roll it up. And if I rolled it up, then I would just be doing something basically stir equals stir dot replace new regexp, and then we'd be putting in plus a key, and then that's new regexp, and then this would be with a G, and then this would be the value, right? And then we do it again like this, so on and so forth. Or I could pre-compile those and put them in a map. That would also work. But anyway, so I'll just put that there. But for now, this is good because I'm not sure all of where I'm going with this. Also, I'm going to want to have a format function that runs on each of these values. And that actually probably would work really well with that example, because particularly for the date, I'm just going to say we're going to have a post dot format, and then we're going to be passing in created, and then we're going to need, I don't know what it's going to be, but let's say post dot system. Yeah. Basically, we're going to need a way to allow a hook for, okay, let's go ahead and say that's the template there. All right, and then we got post dot front matter equals post underscore template, if I could spell correctly. And welcome. Feel free to ask questions. I'm just working on my blog system here. So the part that I'm at is I'm making a poor man's template system right now because I'm not sure what the template actually should look like. And I know that what I do have to work with is 2.5 different systems of YAML that are relatively similar. And so I'm just kind of thinking through and just kind of prototyping, okay, what is it that I need to do? Because I need to get the times formatted properly. That's the one thing that's different between the two. There's a couple of the keys that are different. Like one of them calls it title, the other one calls it name or something like that. One of them calls it date, the other one calls it created, that sort of thing. But the dates themselves have a different format. One is an AM/PM format, and the other one is a more ISO-ish format. And so I'm just kind of thinking around, okay, how can I make this more generic? And I'm also thinking about, I want to have, so I've got this post section. I want to have a blogs section as well, where it has a table of, okay, here's my blog. This is the URL that it's at. This is the blog system that it uses. And this is the Git system that it uses. So, for example, I've got koolage86.com is on Desi on Gitea. The root blog is using Eon, which is a Hugo blog, on Gitea. Beyond Code and GC Homebrew are both using BashBlog, and they are on GitHub. So I just want to make it so that when I make a post, it makes the correct front matter format for the system that I'm using. All right. So I think what we do want to do this, like this. So I do want to say created equals. Let's see, can I get like this? Yeah. So let's go ahead and put that up there. I do want post.system. And same thing with updated. And then Not going to worry with the other ones right now, but these are the two things I know I need to have formatted differently. So I will let them be what they are. All right, and somewhere something is missing. Looks like it's right here. So created, updated, updated. All right, that looks good. Okay. And then I need a post.format. And basically, I'm not even sure how this is going to work. But that's the thing with prototyping, emergent design. You kind of, you take broad strokes. You don't try to decide everything all at once. You just try to figure out, okay, how do I do the next thing that I need to do? And you give it a form and you let it be loosely held. And if you need to change it, you change it. So here, this format is going to take in a key name, it's going to take in a value, and it's going to take in a system. And for right now, I'm just going to ignore system, so I'm going to put an underscore in front of it to indicate that I'm not using it right now. Often I do that when there's something else in scope that's already called by that name. But in this case, I'm just indicating that as a to-do. So what do I need to do? In this particular case, I'm going to ignore key and I'm going to ignore system. And I'm just going to focus on value because I know that that's the only thing right now that I'm concerned with. But I think this should be some sort of plugin type system where it should be really easy to basically generate code that puts something in the right format, which I'm not quite clear on how to do that because the user is going to have to be able to select it. So it's going to have to like build a function. I don't know. Anyway, right now, all I need to do is get this value into the right format, which the right format is going to be, it starts out looking like this. And what I need it to be is instead, I need it to be this. So I think the hokey way might be the right way in this particular case. Say val is equal to val.replace t with a space and then dot replace replace a plus or minus and 4 digits and the end or z with nada. And then from there, what I need is, okay. Well, let's actually do this instead. Let's do val.split on t. So that's going to give us the two parts. So we're going to have var parts. So let's have var date equals parts 0 and var time equals parts 1. And then time, we're going to be able to do this little ditty on. So now we've got our date and then we've got our time and we've gotten rid of this doodad. And what we need to do then, do you know the times, is split on colon and then hour is going to be times sub 0. Whoops. And then let's just do a parse int on that. And if hour, let's see, is greater than or equal to 12, then I'm going to call this meridian, I guess. So let's say the default is AM. Meridian is equal to PM. And then we could return date plus space plus oh, and we also want to take hour minus equals 12, right? So that it will go down to 0 or 1 or whatever. Yeah. So that should work. And then times 0, which is hour, we'll put in there. And then we can do times.join on the colon. And then we can add a space, and then we can add meridian. And there we go. This should give us our time. As such. Something like that, yeah. Let's go ahead and test this out. I'm going to use set. Okay, no, we don't need a set number. I'm just going to copy this function over into my console. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. I will take that under advisement. npm install 10 megabyte date formatter library -- save. Yes, that is the appropriate course of action. I don't know that that would help, though. I mean, by all means, if it would, put in the chat what is it that I would, if I was using date fns, how would that make solving this problem any easier? Okay. We'll just call this format. So let's give it our example and then see if when we give it our example, if we get back the other example. Cannot split on undefined. So where's it complaining about that? Let's see. Right away. Val. Oh, duh. Okay, cool. So let's just put. There we go. Does this look right? Date isn't touched. It's perfect. And that's perfect. Cool. All right. There we are. All right, that's working. So I think that I am kind of ready to close this issue out and maybe go tuck my daughter in. I'm just going to test this real quick, and then I may come back to finish out more things. Whoever said you need to actually use the dependency to install it? A little too close to home. It's too soon. Too soon. Just install every dependency. And you're one to talk with Tailwind. I mean, like, every possible permutation of class ever. And then just delete the ones you don't need afterwards. Okay. Where am I at here? I'm looking to see, can I load Hello World? Let's load Hello World here. And we've got a big fat undefined. So there is something that I did not do right. For I think it's front matter. I didn't capitalize it correctly. I did not capitalize it correctly. Okay, slug. Why is slug not there? Okay, slug is here. Slug. Oh, because that is an underscored attribute because it can be generated. I think I should change that in the near future because I think even though it can be generated, it also could be edited, and for whatever weird reason you might want the slug to be different than the title. Like maybe the title's too long or maybe the slug's too short. I don't know. But I've definitely done that before. All right, so is this looking good? Hello world. I'm going to double check real quick, but I think this is looking phantasmagorical. I could cut off that last bit there. I really do just prefer to leave that. I like having the seconds on there, but having the milliseconds is just tarded. Okay, that's correct. So times 2 is equal to double zero. Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at this again. There we go. Nice. I'll just keep that there. That's looking good. Okay, so now I'm going to just go make sure that this actually fits in with the schema that I'm intending to use it for, and then I'm going to take a break to do the nighty nights. But solve the one problem that is the deal breaker. Okay, we don't have description either. And I do want to add, so basically what I need is I need to make this editable. I need this to be editable. If this is editable, then I think I don't know, that, I have to think on that one. Okay, so we're missing description, but these all look right. These are not there. I can just, I mean, I can do what I was doing, which I think is actually all right. So I'm gonna go back. So for the sake of I'm no worse off if I just put in here description, change me, because that's essentially, that's what I already had. So I'm +1 minus 0. If I just say, yeah, cool, that works. That is acceptable. +1 minus 0. That's the goal. Cool. All right, so with that, let's see. What do I get to check off the list? I do get to check off, we get to close out milestone 1. Dates are now formatting correctly. And there was also some other bug that got dealt with. So what are we doing here? Yeah. Gosh, that was kind of a big change for how small it was. Well, and that's just white space. Do I even need to? I think I can just not commit this file. I don't think I made any changes to this file. I think that was just white space, right? Let me do, yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to commit that file. I'm just going to commit app.js. Yep. Okay. Git add app.js. Bug fix. Format dates for Desi front matter. All right, so next step, there's a couple of things I got in the queue, but one of the next most important things is that in addition to Desi, I need to support Eon and BashBlog. So that's, and actually there's one other thing I might want to change real quick. Hold on. This is, let's just say chore white space. And then I want to move, is it the title here? Yeah, I want to move the title and the created, both of those. I want to move those under the content because the content is the meat. That's what we're here for. I'm going to see how this looks real quick. It's not going to look quite right. Oh, whoops, and that's the wrong one. This is the one. It's the one I'm editing locally. Yeah, and then we also are going to need a description. So what I think I want to do is actually have it so that when you put pound whatever, that automatically becomes the title. So this will have placeholder text that says pound title. You know, so I think what I'll have the placeholder text be is pound hello world. Is it me you're looking for? And then if you don't have a pound at the start, it'll just give you a little error and say, it looks, you know, like set a title with pound. And then we don't need the title field. And then the description field is just a summary. You know, so once I get the real content done, then I think about, okay, how do I summarize this as, and you could look at it either way, but put the description / summary either up at the top or down here, but this would be the 160 character, or, you know, we'll figure out what the tweet is, but 160 character summary would either go, either you could start that because that could kind of be your prompt to kind of like help you be in the right mindset. I think it deserves to go at the bottom. Let me know what you think. You can comment either right now or later. The created, again, like, yeah, that's not something that needs to be at the top. The blog system, that needs to come like over here, and then we need a publish button. So this is, I'm going to do one more thing before I close this out, which is I'm going to go back to the thought board, and maybe I can have somebody who's more CSS oriented help me out with this. But let's take this, let's move it down. Let's take this, let's move, whoops, that's not the one that I wanted. I wanted the whole thing, actually. All right, let's take that, let's move that down. Let's take this, let's move it down. So we're just going to rearrange this whole thing, really. Let's move all that down. Whoops, and that needs to come along with it, I suppose. Hold on, let's redo. Move that down. And then maybe this could be directly editable. Maybe we don't need this date. I like the idea of having the date picker there, but do we really need it? Probably not. That was probably superfluous. That was probably a lot of wasted time and effort because I don't think that it really adds value. Now that I'm, you know, thinking about it, because I can just have it be in the front matter and call that a day, and that's that. All right. Let's line this up. Let's line this one up too. There we go. This I'm not so sure that we need, but let's go ahead and just kind of rearrange this for funsies. And really this needs to be, we don't need a save draft button. Instead, we're moving this up here. This has become new post. So if we want to kind of basically discard the draft because everything's saved by default now. Whoops. Okay. That's that. And then what we really need here is actually two things. We need to know the blog system, and we need to know if it is, so for example, is it Desi? Is it Eon? And then is it Gitea? Or is it GitHub? Okay, so there is our updated thought for this. Let's see. And this would be pound title, start something great. And then this would actually go into where would this go with create post? Oh, content body? Yeah, those two kind of go together. Alrighty. Well, with that, if this was useful for you, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe, click the bell for personalized notifications so that you just get the code stuff, and because sometimes I post game stuff or soldering stuff, some stuff like that. And check down the doobly-doo because there are the other channels, which is the Beyond Code channel, the live channel, and the Health, Wealth, Commitment channel, which is my morning shower thoughts if you're into life, the universe, and everything. So with that said, have a wonderful evening, the best evening ever, and I will catch you later. Leave your comments, thoughts, opinions, trolls down in the comments section below. Adios. Oh, did it? Was I leaning up too much the whole time there? Yeah, I might have been.